Okay, so thank you, Miss Meg, for volunteering to work with me and for asking to be coached. The first thing that we're going to do is, because this is a strange time that we don't have students in person right now, so we are having to record Miss Minnick's. We had to record Miss Minnick's Zoom class period. She doesn't have actual students in class, none of us do, but she recorded her lesson, and so we are going to watch the video of her lesson. Miss Minnick's lesson is on rhetorical devices, and we just watched her lesson, and so now we're gonna kind of break it down and talk about how it went. So, Miss Minnick, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson that you've ever taught, and 10 being the best lesson you've ever taught, how would that lesson rank?
Probably a 6.
Okay, and talk to me about that. What do you think went well? What was frustrating to you?
I guess a 6 because I really have no idea who grasped the lesson and who didn't, because I only had a few participate in it. So I think that would be the...
And why is that challenging in this setting versus like if you would have been able to teach that lesson in person?
I guess I'm realizing that I rely a lot on informal assessments and just observation, and not having that in the virtual setting makes it really hard for me to know where to go next.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think if you were to teach this lesson in person, you would have kids contributing answers, you would have heads nodding, you would have, you would be able to tell if students were watching or looking, or if they were off task. And when the students don't even turn their cameras on the majority of the time, and we're not allowed to force them to do so, it's very difficult to see who is participating.
Yeah, exactly.
And what did please you about the lesson and how it went?
The technology went pretty smoothly, so that's always a plus. I did have a couple that were participating, and for the most part, they seemed like they were understanding the different rhetorical appeals. So
that's good. And you were playing like several video clips.
Yeah.
And I know that even in person, it can be nerve-wracking if they're not going to work, and what's your plan B. So especially in a classroom setting where the entire lesson depends on technology, the fact that it all went super well. So I was impressed by that.
That's good.
So what would have to change for you to be able to move that closer to a ranking of a 10?
I think if they would collaborate more with each other, that I would feel better about it.
I know that, obviously I'm not extremely familiar with your teaching style, since we teach the same subject and we're, not able to observe each other's classes very often, but I do know that you, like me, enjoy doing group work, and that's been a major challenge during the virtual teaching, that students are not able to work in groups. We're not allowed to put them in groups without a teacher being present, so we can't really do breakout rooms or breakout groups. And I do think that, especially for freshmen, because this is a 9th grade literature class, that they don't really know their classmates very well, and they're not really given that opportunity right now. It's very challenging to find ways to get them to get to know one another and discuss things with one another. So if you were to have told me that lesson was a 10, what would it have looked like?
I think, like I said, just having students maybe do some group work, collaborate, do a group assignment where they're identifying different rhetorical appeals, and I can assess them on that. I think that would have been.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have just been exactly what that lesson needed to elevate it to a 10. So if we're talking about a goal, something that we can do to measure that change that you want to see happen, what do you think that might look like?
I think like a collaboration goal would be good.
Okay, I do too. I think that if your students collaborate more and can have some more in-depth discussions,
Right.
then I think that you'll see that their participation will go up, and maybe they'll be more motivated to do more in class,
Right.
and maybe even that will see an increase in their assessment scores as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about that being your goal, that you want the students to increase their collaboration, what might be a good percentage that we could use to measure that goal? What do you think?
Going from like a 0 baseline, I think I would be happy with like 50%.
Yeah,
right now.
I think that's a good target, because, you know, since you're having a really hard time getting any engagement in this setting, I think that if we said 100% of students are going to participate,
Yeah.
then that might be too lofty of a goal to start with.
Right.
But if we say that maybe half of them will start collaborating,
Mhm.
then I think that's a great start.
Okay.
And so if you could hit that goal, would it really matter to you, and why?
Yeah, it would definitely matter. Like I said before, I'd be able to informally assess them a lot better, and then it would just help drive my instruction.
Yeah, because I think that we as teachers are also thrive off and are motivated by, you know, having those relationships with our students. And if we don't, you know, if we don't know them because they're not participating and not collaborating and not discussing, then I think we're missing out on,
Right.
you know, a big piece of why we teach. So in terms of using technology instruction to try to help you achieve that goal, what would you like to see in a technology tool to help you achieve that goal? And I'm gonna see if I can think of one.
Okay. I guess I'd like to see like some sort of like platform where they could go, because we can't use the Zoom like breakout groups, where they can go and like respond to a prompt and then also respond to each other's and have discussion.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I actually have a tool in mind.
Okay.
There's a tool that I've used before fairly successfully called Padlet.
Okay. I've heard of
And basically it's an online platform where it's just a space where students can collaborate with one another and have discussion. You can put them in groups.
that. Okay.
They can't be in the group live with one another, and you know, like
Right.
like a Zoom would be, but you can group them in their Padlet, and you can have a topic. So for example, since you're doing rhetorical appeals, maybe you show them, you know, the video clips again, or some different ones, or maybe even have them find some, and you could have them discuss the rhetorical appeal used with their group on Padlet. Another neat thing about Padlet is that you can upload files and links to Padlet. So if they were maybe creating their own, you know, commercial or advertisement, they could upload it there and make comments. They can upload pictures. So another good thing about it, especially for the first time that they collaborate and discuss with one another, is that it's very user-friendly. It's easy to use, and you know, once they do it one time, they can easily get the hang of it. But they can post their name and they can upload things. So I think it would also be an easy way to measure if you're hitting that goal,
Right.
because all you would have to do would be to log into the Padlet, and you'll easily be able to see the names of the students that have made a comment and participated. So I think that goal could be easily measured that way, because all you'll have to do is just see if they're making comments.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have to try to like track down responses, or you know, go from just take their word on it. You can actually see what they're posting, which is kind of nice. So I think that maybe we could use Padlet to see if that goal can increase, and that we can get to that 50%. So our next steps are going to be I'm going to show you Padlet, and I'll talk you through how to set up an account, and you know, and if you whatever lesson that you want to do next, if you want to show your students and have them do it, and then we can come back together and talk about the results
Okay.
and how we might can move forward.
Okay.
Because maybe Padlet works and 50% of them easily communicate, and maybe we can increase our target
Okay.
or increase our goal. Maybe Padlet doesn't work and you don't like that as much, we can come up with a different strategy. Because there are many tools out there if this one doesn't work.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to work with you, and I think that we are going to be able to work together to achieve this goal. So thank you so much.
Thank you.